Hey, it's Zennial Gamer, and we are here to talk about how to rune and then to do a full review on Odin, the Wind Lightning Emperor. I'm also going to take him into Guild War and Arena, and I'll show you 3 different Guild War comps that are all very effective, and a couple of different Arena comps that are very effective with him as well. You'll notice I've got his stats. This is my Odin in the background. Whenever I do a how to rune video, I'm going to try and always start off by showing my stats because it drives me nuts when other YouTubers make you scroll through the video to find them. My Odin is on Fatal Shield. Now, Odin is a very flexible monster. He can be used in most aspects of the game, and you're going to want to rune him a little bit differently depending on what your primary focus is. So Fatal is only one option. He can also work in Rage and in Violent. More specifically, he's probably better in Rage than in Fatal, but it depends on the runes that you have. So for me, I use Odin with Bastet a lot, and I couldn't get enough speed to speed tune with Bastet on my Rage runes, but I was able to do so in Fatal. Or more specifically, I could get enough speed with my Rage runes, but I couldn't get a big enough combination of damage and speed together with Rage. Now the other thing is I have him in Shield. You can use him, as I said, in Fatal, you can use him in Rage, you can use him in Violent. But he must always have either Shield or Will as his secondary set. If you're going to be using him in RTA, I would strongly recommend Will. If you're using him in just Guild content or Arena, especially if you have an attack bar booster monster with him and that monster is fast, then you can get away with Shield like I've done. Now let's talk about Odin's skills real quick. Odin actually has 2 passives and only 1 attack skill. So his first passive is like the passive for all the Lightning Emperors, which is that he gains knowledge, and in the game we just refer to them as stacks. So Odin gains knowledge every time you buff him, or he buffs himself with shield runes or will runes, which is why it's so important to start with those. Specifically, he gains 1 knowledge for every buff. So, for example, if he's with Bastet, who gives you an attack buff and a shield buff, then he gains 2 knowledge from that. And then he gains 3 knowledge every time a monster dies on either your team or the enemy team. Now, one little thing that might trip some people up, the Beast Riders, which are new to the game. When you force them to dismount the beast, they're not actually dying, so you don't stack any knowledge from that. But resurrecting monsters like Perna would die, and you would gain 3 knowledge even though they're resurrecting because it still counts as a death. Now, Odin's second passive is what makes him just so freaking OP. And so I said we're going to review him. That's basically the whole review right there. Odin is freaking OP. He works in almost every aspect of the game. He is an absolute beast. You do have to work a little bit to build comps that are going to be effective with him. But he can dominate in RTA if he's picked at the right time. He's like my #1 arena monster. He's an automatic win for me in every siege and every guild war. That's how strong he is. And the reason for it is this Legacy of Knowledge passive. So basically, Odin is going to do a partial ignore defense with his primary attack, the Lightning Strike. And what he's actually going to ignore is 15% of the enemy's defense for every single stack he has. So if he has 3 stacks, he ignores 45% defense. If he has 4 stacks, he ignores 60% defense. And if he has 5 stacks, he gets a full 100% ignore defense. Now my Odin in this build, he does just under 40,000 damage in Arena and about 43,000 in Guild War. That's a magic number, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. After we talk about the skills, I'll talk about why that 40,000 is important. Now, the other part of this Legacy of Knowledge passive is that Odin also resurrects. So think of him as like a Perna that can ignore defense. The only catch to it is that where Perna revives with 100% of HP, Odin loses all his stacks when he dies, and then revives with 20% of his HP for each stack that he had at the time of death. So if he was fully stacked, if he had 5 stacks, he would revive with 100% HP. But if he only had 1 stack, then he only revives with 20%. So this is another reason that it's really important to make sure that you start your Odin that your Odin starts the fight with stacks and that you stack him as quickly as possible. Now the last thing that Odin has is a guild skill. It's 33% crit rate. Don't sleep on this, because as you're looking at how stat-hungry Odin actually is, and that is the one thing about him, is that he's a very stat-hungry monster. The rune set that you see on screen here, it's 104% rune set, which is actually, I think, my second best total rune set, and he's still missing a few things. He's still a little bit squishier than he needs to be. He still needs actually 2 more speed to be truly speed tuned. And he definitely could use a little bit more accuracy, because his skill 1, in addition to doing all that ignore defense, after it's skilled up, it has a 100% chance, minus resistance and accuracy checks, to steal a beneficial effect from the enemy. So that means that Odin can slightly buff himself too, because he can steal immunity, he can steal attack, he can sometimes steal shields, although usually he breaks the shield and can't steal it. Something that's really fun is to steal the counterattack off a Fenyang or a Josephine, and then let Odin just mow down the whole enemy team with counterattack on him. So you do want to try and get a little bit of accuracy onto him. I was not able to, because I use him in a lot of areas of the game and I had to stack more crit rate on him. So the 86% crit rate means I have a guaranteed crit with attribute advantage when I'm in arena, which I use him as like my primary arena monster. If you're only using him for guild content, then you could actually get away with 67 crit rate because he has that crit leader skill, and that's why it's relevant. If you could only, if I only needed 67 crit rate, I could easily get in the extra accuracy and speed and a little bit more attack that I would like, and some more HP, because I'd like to give him everything, because he's awesome. Okay, so now that we've talked about his build, let's talk about the different rune set options that we have. I mentioned what they were, Fatal, Rage, and Violent, but there are different reasons why you would use each. So, in my case, because I use Odin in so many different areas, I needed to have as much damage as possible for offense. When you're on offense, a big key number is 40,000. You want Odin to be able to do at least 40,000 damage. 42,000 is actually preferable, but at least 40,000, and here's why. 40,000 HP is a magic number for many people. A lot of Jeans, a lot of Trianas, a lot of even Molongs, depending if it's a speed build Molong, a lot of people just try and crack that 40,000 HP mark. You want to make sure your Odin is going to be able to one-shot those monsters, because after Odin attacks on a full ignore defense with 5 stacks, he uses all 5 stacks. If he has 1, 2, 3, if he has less than 5 stacks, then he doesn't use his stacks. But once he gets to 5, he uses them. So if, for example, you attack a Triana and you do 38,000 damage and she has 39,000 HP, then she lives. When she lives, you're left with 0 stacks. And if you die again before your turn comes up, then you don't get to resurrect because you have no stacks. So it's very important to make sure that Odin gets a kill every time he attacks with 5 stacks, and that's where that 40,000 number comes in. So I'm going to switch over to swap here real quick. I've got the damage calculator loaded. Now, I actually just posted a video on how to use the optimizer to find sets for your monsters, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this now. But I did just want you to see what his damage calculation should look like. So we've got it up on screen, and then when I close this, you can actually see that mine is calculating at just about 39,000 damage. Now, every monster has a tiny little bit of variance in the damage they do, but generally it's pretty close. I'm going to do about 39,500 damage on a big hit like 41, on a small hit like 38. And again, you really want to try and target 40,000 damage if you're using him on offense. So that's where your Fatal and your Rage runes come in, because it's nearly impossible, unless you're using G3 runes, to get 40,000 damage off a Violent set. Unless you just completely sacrifice speed or HP, unless you completely sacrifice necessary stats. So if that's the case, why do I mention Violent as an option? Violent is an option in 2 instances. The first is if you're using him as a defense monster. Now, he works great on defense in Fatal or Rage runes as well, because he's doing a lot of damage. But Violent offers one thing that Fatal and Rage don't, which is the ability for him to steal multiple buffs and stack himself. When we're using him on offense, we're a little smarter than the AI, or hopefully we are, most of us are. And so we can target our stacks and stack Odin as quickly as possible. The AI doesn't always do that. You put him on a defense with Bastet and Bastet derps, Odin doesn't get stacked. So by putting him on Violent, he has the chance to proc and steal multiple buffs and stack himself as well. Now, the other time that you might put him on Violent is if you're taking him into RTA. Me personally, I would hate to rely on RNG for that. I feel like the Fatal or the Rage gives you a much better opportunity to one-shot the enemy rather than having to rely on proccing to steal buffs and stack yourself. But in RTA, the other advantage, obviously, of Violent is that you can proc out of control. And so if control is a concern, if you're not running him with double immunity monsters, for example, and he doesn't have will runes, he has shield instead, then you know the enemy could ban your immunity monster and gain control, then Violent has value there because you could proc out of that control. Now, whether you're using Fatal Rage or Violent, again, you want to make sure that he starts with either shield or will. And if you're building a dedicated comp to him and you can put him on will and put shield on another monster in that comp, it starts him with even more stacks. So now that we've talked about his runes, let's just go see him in action. Okay, so for this first Guild War comp, we have a Fen Yang, Annabelle, and Leica. And for this, we're going to be using Odin, Kali, and Bastet. Now, it's important that your monsters are speed tuned here. My Kali is at 243 over my Odin at 238. And then the Bastet at 291 is clearly going to outspeed anything on the enemy side. So the way this comp works and stacks is my Odin is going to get 1 stack from his own shield. He's going to get 2 stacks when the Bastet boosts. And then he's going to go ahead and get 3 stacks when the Kali one-shots the Fen Yang, which means that he can then go ahead and kill the Annabelle. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this first fight, since this is an Odin spotlight, and we'll go straight to the Odin fight. Finally. Okay, so as mentioned, we start off with the Bastet buff. Kali's going to one-shot the Fen Yang. Odin's going to one-shot the Annabelle. And then we could pretty much more or less just auto from right here, even though Leica's a little bit of a pain. To be honest, that play right there where I just buffed myself was probably a bad play because my Odin can't kill the Leica and I just left myself at 0 stacks. I should have just done a manual attack right there. That was actually a big mistake. Fortunately, we did survive. We almost lost our Odin for this video. So definitely keep in mind, that's a prime example of keeping Odin stacks in mind because he already had 3 stacks. The buffing him to 5 when he couldn't kill the enemy monster put him at risk. I'd have been better off just attacking the Leica manually and then continuing to cycle through that way. Okay, on to the next fight. Okay, so for this next fight, the Kali would have worked here perfectly fine as well. Actually, to be honest, she might have actually worked a little bit better in this comp, but I do want to demonstrate 3 different comps that you can use Odin with. And so the second of those 3 is going to be Wusa. Now the concept here is that I get more immunity. Obviously, I have 3 turns of immunity where Kali, I had no immunity. And I'm going to start off with 5 stacks because I'm getting 2 buffs each from the Bastet and the Wusa. I'm also going to start off with a monster shield. And so what it's going to allow me to do is one-shot that Shihu because he's the immediate danger. And then from there, we'll work our way through. We'll kill the Ciara and then the Ethna. Okay, once again, we're going to fast forward through the first fight and then move on to the Odin spotlight. So gotta love how that Perna Derp actually gave it a second stun. Perna Derps into a proc derp. But okay, so we're on the Odin fight now. So again, we're gonna start off with the Bastet boost. Then we take the Wusa boost. Now I've got my 3-turn immunity and I've got 5 stacks on Odin, so we'll drop the Shihu. So there's the Ethna. No, Ethna would normally have actually attacked my Bastet there, who's on max resistance. The main thing is Ethna was not going to attack Odin. Because she's Wind, she was going after one of the water units, no matter what. So I wasn't too worried about her using her skill 3 strip. The derp actually worked out better for me, of course, but I would have been fine if she had stripped as well. So we throw out the Bastet defense break. Obviously, she could go glancing either way. See, there you go. She went her skill 3 on Bastet with the max resistance. She didn't get the full strip. So we're going to go after Ethna first just because that's where the defense break landed. I would have gone after whichever one landed a defense break. If neither of them landed the defense break, I would have just gone after the Ciara. But now from here, I can just auto out. Doesn't matter how much Ciara procs, she can't get through immunity. And then Odin's going to one-shot her out. Okay, so let's move on to the final Guild War fight. Okay, now this last comp that we're going to be using is going to be Bastet, Amelia, and Odin. And this team has actually never lost for me, except for maybe once or twice when I just took it at a really stupid time. But if you bring this team in wisely, it has truly never lost for me. Now, the Wusa comp basically doesn't ever lose either. The key being, of course, if you take it in a smart time. If you take this team in against a Rahul Oki, for example, and the Rahu strips you and then the Oki resets your Odin and then he gets killed, that's your own damn fault. But as long as you pick the team at appropriate times, you're good. And one thing you'll see about the speed tuning from this team, my Amelia is 240, my Odin is 238. Amelia has to go before Odin in order to get me the stacks, but it means that Odin will not have immunity after he goes. So what's going to happen is when I kill the Jean, that Kumar is going to silence Odin. The cool thing is silence has no effect on Odin whatsoever because he only has one attack skill. It's a skill 1. So what does affect Odin would be defense break. If this was a Ritesh team, I would not be bringing this comp in. I'd probably use the Wusa there so that I would have multi-turn immunity. But because all Kumar can do is silence, he really can't do anything to Odin at all. So here we go. So we start off taking first turn. Obviously, our Bastet's going to outspeed anything over there. Now we're going to transform Amelia, and we're going to go ahead and put up our defense buff here. Now, if Skogul throws his rock up, I'm going to transform Amelia back into unicorn form after this. That's the one thing about this team is it doesn't have any healing, so I need to minimize the damage that I take. Now, you'll see there I did 43,000 to the Jean and she survived. So that's the exact thing I was talking about, where you need as much damage as you can get on the Odin. I'll still be fine here. I'm going to try and steal the invincibility, which was a long shot because it's a resistance lead. Right now, the provoke doesn't matter because I'm attacking that Jean anyway. I will just try and I tried to put the attack down on the Kumar, but again, it's resistance lead, so I'm not really expecting anything here. I'm going to keep my Amelia in unicorn form for one more turn rather than... Now, if I went back to human form, I could actually cleanse the provoke, but I don't care about the provoke. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and try and do my own provoke, which I didn't get. But I'm staying in unicorn form in order to absorb the hit from the Skogul. So here comes the Skogul hit. Remember, my Odin has a resurrect, so I'm not worried about his health being low. I am worried about the procs, but that's okay. So there's the Odin resurrect. And now we can transform our Amelia, and we can start to restack our Odin. So we've got a defense buff up now. We're going to try and steal the speed buff, which again, resistance lead. We're back up to 4 stacks on the Odin now. The Skogul still has several turns. We'll try for a freeze. Didn't expect that either. It's a very effective resistance lead, but that's okay because the Jean is now dead this turn. Odin gains 3 more stacks. Go ahead and try for one more freeze. Go ahead for the attack down. Now at this point, I'm thinking I probably need to start working on the Skogul because he's almost back. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to the Skogul here. Put our defense buff back up. Try one more time for that attack break. Hey, there we go. We got the attack break finally. And of course he procced right out of it. Now, this is why I had to switch over to that Skogul. So I'll be able to finish off the Skogul right here. It looks like I actually am going to lose the Odin, but I'm not too worried about losing the match. Well, actually, we didn't even lose the Odin because we got the Bastet buff. That was honestly about as bad as those fights can ever go with that team. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this fight and move on to Arena. Okay, now I mentioned I was going to show you a few different comps that work with Odin. They're probably all going to be Ciara, Bastet, Oki. There are, of course, plenty of other comps that work with him. But he works with a lot of different monsters based on what you're facing, and particularly for Arena, where you don't want to have to spend a lot of time changing comps, it's convenient for me just to change out one monster. So we're going to use Oki in this fight because he's obviously got the AoE stun, and he's going to be able to reset both the Triana and the Vanessa. Now the Oki version of this team does not allow me to auto quite as much as the next version I'm going to show you, which is a Wusa version. It's also not quite as effective, so it's more a general counter to specific comps like the Vanessa Triana. The version of this team I use most commonly is Wusa, which is slightly slower. We outsped, so we're definitely okay now because I've got my 5 stacks right off the bat. What I'm actually going to do is disable that Bastet, and then I'll go ahead and just kill the Oki. I won't kill an Oki, I'll go ahead and kill the Odin. So the nice thing with that Bastet cutting is we actually got to waste the Bastet buffs already. And we'll go ahead and just heal up from the little procking that the Perna did, and as soon as this Odin is down, I can just basically go on to auto from here. I will target, I'll manually target that Perna because the Perna is just going to do too much damage to Sierra otherwise. But the reason I like this Odin Wusa comp is because you basically usually just have to do 2 or 3 moves right at the start of the fight, and then you can go auto through the rest. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of manual targeting, but you don't really have to actually play through all the way. So it's not quite as good as having double Lucians, but it's still a better way to go through Arena. So I'll go ahead and fast forward through the end of this fight, staying on auto, and I'll show you another comp. Okay, for this last fight, just because I want to show you something a little bit different, so we're not doing the same comp over and over, Odin also works really well with Daphnis. Now my Daphnis here is going to be at 252, so slightly faster than Odin. My Daphnis is actually a little bit weak. I lowered his runes recently, but he'll be good enough for our purposes right now. All I really need him to do is to, he doesn't even have to actually kill. If he did kill, then that would be better, because then it would fully stack Odin. But in this case, if he doesn't kill, it's going to bring the Skogul down low enough that Odin can just finish it. I've brought in the Ganymede to reset the Juno and also to steal the attack bars. And of course, since there is no will on the enemy side, the Daphnis is definitely not going to be killing anything. But we'll go ahead and just use his skill 2 to start out. So we got the AoE reset right there. It looked like every single monster resisted. I'm not positive. I could check that on the video. It looked like that was an AoE resist as well. But we will go ahead and ventilate the Bastet. We'll start working down that Garrow a little bit. And go ahead and finish off the Garrow now, actually, because we have our multi-hit there. That finish off Garrow will allow my Odin to take out this Skogul that actually got its rock up. Now that other Skogul is going to get a hit off on me. We'll go ahead and use our Hellfire, but it won't be enough to kill the Skogul. Looks like it has close to 50k. Although, actually, the Odin might... No, Odin won't be able to finish him off from right there. So we are going to take one Skogul hit. But we'll go ahead and steal the attack bar and see if maybe, just maybe, we can actually stack our Odin right here. Yeah, so we actually managed to stack our Odin, get the attack bar boost, so the Skogul is going to die after all, and now we can just auto out. So obviously most of these comps are going to be a little bit slower than a pure Lucian cleave, or if you're lucky enough to have like a Tiana Zyros, those are much faster. But in my case, not having a Tiana, this ignore defense comp is something that's really effective for me. Most fights take about a minute, minute and a half. So it prevents me from being able to do a full-on rush, but it has allowed me to finish G2. It allows me to consistently stay up in Guardian level. And basically all I do is just Ciara, Bastet, Odin. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Odin is absolutely one of my favorite monsters. If you're watching this video, it means you probably have him, so congratulations, he rocks. I am going to start doing more of these monster spotlight videos as we go ahead, but I had to start with the best. And so I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please pop that subscribe button over on the left. It shows me that you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, it shows me that you found the information useful and hopefully it helped you in your gameplay. So here's the deal. You pop subscribe and I'll keep popping out content. Thanks, guys.